Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this What's New in LoadRunner 1260 webinar. My name is Anat Robinson and I will be hosting today's event. Joining me today as presenters are Cyrus Manosharian, LoadRunner and Performance Center Product Manager, Gil Kedem, R&D Team Leader, Adrian David, LoadRunner R&D Manager, and Amit Coleman, Software Engineer in Truclient R&D Team. Cyrus will walk you through the LoadRunner 1260 highlights and new features detailed overview. Adrian will present you the controller command line interface and the raw result exporter tool. Amit will share with you new features in Truclient, and Gil will present you through our new web protocol. We will finalize our webinar with a review of our customer programs and discuss the coming webinars. Before we begin, I'd like to encourage you to submit questions and comments during our event, and to do so, just type your question or comment in the question box below the slides and submit. We have a Q&A session at the end of the event, and we will answer as many questions as we are able to during that time. The session's recording, slide deck, and the Q&A file will be available for download, and we will send you the link in a few days. Now we will start with LoadRunner 1260 highlights and the new features overview. Cyrus, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Anna. Thanks everyone for joining us today on this fantastic webinar. My name is Cyrus and I am the product manager for LoadRunner and Performance Center. And I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed the presentation and demos that the team and I have put together. What's important to understand is the team and I, we try to jam-pack this release with a lot of key features that are going to provide a lot of benefit and value to you as the end user. We kind of categorized our features into three buckets: DevOps, insights or analysis, as well as a business decision that we made as a team. We plan on discussing each of one of these items underneath each bucket, and then you'll obviously get followed by some demos about some of the key features. I think it's really important to take away from this is that this is a trajectory that the team has been going on for quite some time, and we want to continue this rich feature trajectory as we continue going forward. I plan on segmenting the presentation into two parts. One will be about protocol and technology surrounding our scripting solutions and some highlights in our scripting solutions. And then we're also going to talk about some of the features that were added to LoadRunner itself within 1260. So the first part that I'm going to start with is Truclient, and then work my way down to non-web protocols. So as part of 1260, we fully released the Truclient browser, and just a little background around it. The Truclient browser was introduced in version 1256 of both LoadRunner and Performance Center, and it was introduced as a tech preview. Now in 1260, we brought it to light, and it's fully supported, and it's actually based off of the Mozilla Firefox codebase version of 5802. So going with 1260 and on, you are no longer going to see Mozilla Firefox as a selection for the browser, but as a replacement, you're going to see the Truclient browser, which again is based off of the Mozilla codebase. The team has made a lot of improvements from 1256 to 1260, and you're going to continue to see those improvements and optimization going forward. Now, following in that notion of updates, we've also made the same update in the Truclient native mobile protocol, which actually has a direct integration with our mobile center solution. And we made an update there at the browser level for Truclient, and we upgraded the Firefox version from 40 to 50. Now, just some of the additional highlights that were done with Truclient. In version 1255, we introduced a key capability called Truclient Coded. It allowed you to convert your actions to code and actually start configuring your actions via JavaScript. And we've seen a lot of success and adoption of that since its inception, not only with LoadRunner and Performance Center, but also on the StormRunner Load side as well. Now in 1260, we actually made some more optimization improvements, optimization and debugger improvements. And what that means specifically is that once you actually convert your actions to code, you can actually benefit from the expanded debugging functionality using an inspector panel. This will actually give you a detailed review of variable values used in the code. And while Truclient code in 1260 still remains in technical preview, it's something that we're still heavily focusing on, and we will still continue to improve and optimize. One other thing that we did also add to Truclient as a whole is the interactive tutorial. This now gives you an interactive walkthrough and guidance, providing help within the Truclient application with onboarding, product tours, and more. As we started to see an adoption of Truclient rise since its inception, we're also seeing an increase of people without a development background coming into performance testing and performance engineering. This interactive tutorial will allow those users to get onboarded with Truclient, as well as give our current Truclient end users a more stable, give them more relief and information about the interactive tutorial and how Truclient works as a whole. Now, one thing that we're really excited about is a new protocol that we've introduced within 1260. It's called TrueWeb. It focuses primarily on the HTTP transport level. And I'd like to kind of give everybody a really good idea of what to expect from TrueWeb. First of all, this is something that's been in the makings for quite some time. And you know, the team has worked very extensively and very hard to actually bring what we have today to light. TrueWeb is a straightforward and intuitive protocol. It has a modern API, and it uses pretty much any third-party JavaScripting SDK. Now, what's really cool about this is not the features and the flexibility that comes with TrueWeb. Now, we've provided some out-of-the-box complex features like HTTP2 support, authentication, response body, parameterization, and this is something that we could plan and will grow on when it comes to some of the out-of-the-box complex features. So as you start to see more releases of LoadRunner and Performance Center, you should expect more capabilities coming to TrueWeb as a protocol. Now, from a flexibility perspective, there's two parts to this. I'll talk about the scripting part that most people are familiar with, and the second part, which is something that's really cool and neat that the team brought together. From a scripting perspective, one of the approaches that we took with TrueWeb was the concept of modern multi-platform support. So not only can you script the TrueWeb protocol on a Windows OS, but now you can also do that via Linux and Mac OS. So this really, TrueWeb really just rounds out the OSs that are out in the marketplace today. From a scripting perspective, this is also something that we saw a very big need for in the market, and that's the concept of actually using different IDEs. So today we actually have a plugin created for Atom.io, and we've also seen integration with Visual Studio Code as well as WebStorm IntelliJ. So those IDEs actually can run on multiple different OSs, so this is kind of where all of this comes into fruition. And not only that, you'll still have the key functionality and features that come with VUGen for the TrueWeb protocol. And again, just remember that once you've actually developed your script, you can actually execute it in one of our three solutions: LoadRunner, Performance Center, and StormRunner Load. But the other part is actually TrueWeb has its own standalone component. The standalone component actually lets you run a local test using localhost. So we've seen an adoption of this through a lot of the developers that have betaed TrueWeb and into where we are today. And so, you know, if you are a developer and you are developing code and you've submitted your code, you can actually create a very quick TrueWeb script and actually run it locally to kind of verify or give yourself a little bit of sanity that the code that you submitted actually works to what you expect it to be doing. So just to round out, you know, the TrueWeb protocol, again, has two parts to it. There's the scripting portion that then gets executed within LoadRunner or Performance Center or StormRunner Load, and then there's also the standalone component where you can actually run locally from a sanity perspective. And again, while this is in tech preview, we are focusing on much more improvements and more features as each release of LoadRunner and Performance Center come out. Now I just want to talk about some of the additional capabilities that the team did on some of the non-web protocols, and then we'll start talking about some key features within LoadRunner. The Java protocols are now supported with Java version 9 and 10. And just recently, we saw that Java 11 was just released, and it's something that we have immediately on our roadmap. SAP GUI 7.5 is now supported via Windows 10 and Windows Server 2016. On the PCOIP protocol, we have enhanced the desktop tool support with the ability to sync on bitmap timeout per step. And for the Oracle NCA protocol, it now has a new runtime setting that enables connecting to one or more multiple IP addresses. We've also upgraded the OpenSSL to version 110G. And if you are at all familiar with the installation of LoadRunner, you no longer have prerequisites for the Microsoft Visual C++ redistributables, version 2010, 2012, and 2013. So now, why don't we go ahead and actually start talking about some of the key capabilities the team were able to add in version 1260 for LoadRunner. One of those is the raw results exporter. This is an easy access to post-run data that can actually export data to JSON or actually into an InfluxDB instance. We take the data from the LRR file that's typically created post-run. And if you are not familiar with InfluxDB, InfluxDB is a time series database. Now what this raw results exporter provides you is actually being able to view data in third-party dashboarding solutions. So if you have a third-party dashboarding solution that supports a connection with InfluxDB or ingestion of a JSON file, then you can actually use you can use either one of those solutions. In our case, one of the first ones that we started to adopt and use is Grafana. So it's not that Grafana gets shipped with LoadRunner, but it's one of the first third-party dashboarding solutions that we use to test to actually validate this raw results exporter. The next item is the LoadRunner command line interface. This is really cool. So this actually automates your scenario runs using this command line interface tool, and you can do that via invoking an XML input file or a LoadRunner scenario file, just your typical LRS file that gets created whenever you create and save a LoadRunner scenario. Now, the XML input file can be constructed prior to running your scenarios, so this kind of allows you to have like it gives you gets you to a DevOps-oriented flow. Now, some of those things that you can actually manipulate with this XML input is pulling scripts from different source control systems. You can dynamically allocate Dockerized load generators. And you can actually run scenarios from almost any CI tool as well. So if you have pipelines that are using Jenkins or Bamboo, you can actually use this LoadRunner CLI tool and invoke it within your CI solution. Now, the last portion is about Dockerized load generators, and this I think is quite unique. In previous versions of a LoadRunner and Performance Center, we had actually introduced a Dockerized load generator on a Linux platform, and that's been out for quite some time. Now, what we've added within 1260, which is in tech preview right now, is actually a Dockerized load generator for the Windows platform. And this actually supports HTTP, HTML protocols as well as Java protocols. The link that you see in the deck and will eventually be shared with you as well is actually to our Docker Hub site, where you can actually pull the Linux and Windows Dockerized load generators. Now, last but not least is actually the business decision that the team we made together, and this was in regards to network virtualization. So starting in version 1260 of LoadRunner and Performance Center, network virtualization is now included as part of your instance. So let me explain to you kind of what that means. Network virtualization as part of LoadRunner PC 1260 will have two components to it. One would be network emulation, and the other one would be NV Insights report. Network emulation allows you to use different type of networks and settings as you run your test, and the NV Insights report is typically provided at the end of a run. Now, with VUGen, it also has an integration with the NV Insights report, which will also be available as part of VUGen 1260. The only portion of network virtualization that will not be included is the network capture component. So now that you guys have gotten a little bit of a background on some of the key features of LoadRunner 1260, I'm actually going to hand it over to Adrien, who is our LoadRunner R&D manager, and he's going to talk a little bit about the raw results exporter and the CLI tool. Adrien, it's on you.
Thank you, Cyrus. Hello, everyone. My name is Adrian, and I'm going to present you two brand new LoadRunner extensions that will enable you to better integrate our performance tool in your DevOps environment. The first one is the controller command line interface tool that will enable you to create new test scenarios on the fly or invoke previously created LRS files. In order to create such a scenario, one is to fill in an XML configuration file as presented. This XML has three parts: groups, hosts, and scheduler. In the group section, you need to define each group, the number of users, the associated script, and the associated load generator. In the host section, you will define or your load generator properties. In the scheduler, you will define the duration of your test. The XML file can be constructed manually or through various automation scripts or batch files. Having the XML completed, now we can go ahead and execute our test from the command line using the CLI controller app, which is located in the bin folder of the LoadRunner installation folder. This app will take as parameters the previously created XML and details about the results handling, such as collate or collate and analyze, as well as the path to where you would like to store your results. Now we are ready to execute the scenario from the command line. we can see that the controller is launched, the scenario is created, and the test will start soon. Once the test ends, the controller is exiting, and we are able to see the results in the predefined location. Having these results, we can now explore the second product extension, which is called LR Raw Results Exporter, located as well in the bin folder of the LoadRunner product. With this tool, we can export the results of the test in JSON format, or we can push the results into Influx database and visualize them in Grafana. For this demo, I'm going to show you the export to JSON feature. The only thing you need to do is to launch the tool from the command line, giving it the source and the target directory, and to append the to JSON flag. The export, as you can see, is really fast, which makes this tool very useful in case you will need to process large test results. Once the export is ready, we can see all the data from the test formatted in an easy to understand and further process set of JSON files. We can see details about the user's ramp up and ramp down phase. We can see breakdown of the transactions information. And also we can see monitoring data points in case you have used monitoring solution in your test. I strongly encourage you to attend our dedicated upcoming webinar, where we are going to present further capabilities of these two tools and show you how you can easily construct a Jenkins automation scenario while integrating with Git, Docker, InfluxDB, and Grafana dashboard. Thank you very much for the attention. We are very excited about these two new capabilities, and we will be looking to meet you in the community space to assist you in integrating LoadRunner in your DevOps environment.
Okay, hi. I'm Amit from Truclient. I'm a software engineer at Truclient R&D team. First, I would like to shortly show you the new Truclient browser, which has replaced the legacy Firefox browser in Truclient. Know that you will no longer find Firefox in the browser selection drop-down menu. Firefox scripts have full backward compatibility using Truclient browser. You can see the Truclient browser is based on Mozilla of version 58.0.2. Now I would like to demonstrate the new interactive guidance feature offered by Truclient 1260. It's available in both Chromium and IE. You can use it in Chrome by downloading Truclient Lite Chrome extension. A welcome screen is presented right away upon developing a script for the very first time. You can watch a YouTube video to create your first script, or simply hit Let's Go. In less than 3 minutes, you're guided step-by-step in recording, replaying, and adding transactions to the business process to measure the performance. You're welcome to use the Advantage online shopping website or use any other web application. We'll record some basic operations on this demo website. Interactive guidance is an online resource, so it requires an active internet connection. It also means that it's always up to date, aiming for a quick and easy Truclient ramp-up, with some more advanced topics to be covered soon. There are 4 available walkthroughs that will introduce you to Truclient's UI, based with recorded step structure and available buttons in Truclient's menu bar. You can also search the online help center using the search box and access additional online resources. After recording, we hit replay to allow Truclient collect additional information on the selected objects and make sure that the script works just as expected. We then select one steps or more and surround them by a transaction with a meaningful name. We give the name and then hit OK. Well done. Your first Truclient script is ready to use. Interactive guidance menu allows a quick access to additional walkthroughs, a search feature, and has Task tab to track your personal progress and product education. Next topic I'd like to cover is debugging code actions. Truclient allows converting actions into JavaScript code using this coded feature. It allows flexibility and is a natural way of editing scripts. Powered by well-documented APIs, it eases the process of editing and maintaining scripts of a large scale. Truclient 1260 improves the debugging capabilities of coded actions using breakpoints and the inspector panel to watch values of different types: strings, objects, numbers, and more. You can place breakpoints just like you would do in any other Truclient action and easily debug your script. In this following example, we define variables and use the inspector panel to watch their values update during the replay. We set corresponding breakpoints, and now we'll add the variable names as expressions to the inspector panel. As we hit play each time, we see the updates happening in live. You can see the expressions update, and you can also modify and add additional expressions or remove the existing ones. And that's all from Truclient side. Thank you. And now I'm going to pass the control to Gil Kedem of R&D Manager.
Hello, thank you for joining. I will demonstrate TrueWeb. So TrueWeb is deployed into a Vuegen, LoadRunner, or Performance Center installations. There is also a standalone version that is available in the ADA Marketplace. Here you can find TrueWeb for various platforms, and you can find also TrueWeb plugin for Atom.io specifically. While we mentioned TrueWeb is lightweight, you can see that the TrueWeb download file is just a zip, which is around 30 megabytes. Also in the resource section, you will be able to find links for the online documentation, as you can see here, and also a set of tutorial videos that we created to get you up to speed with the protocol a bit more easily. The deployed folder also contains a set of example scripts you can use to try some of the capabilities TrueWeb offers to you. We will now see how we can create a script using a browser-generated HAR file. And for this example, we use Chrome browser. We will use the developer tools. Make sure to preserve log and disable the cache. And if we have previous traffic, we will also clear that. Our flow of browsing will be just going onto the Advantage Online Shopping website. After all the resources are loaded, we will be ready to do a login as well. In the meantime, I can mention that if you don't want to use a browser, you can also use the optional proxy recorder that you can download from the marketplace as well to create your HAR file. Once the recording is done, we can just stop the recording, and then we can save the network traffic as a HAR file. To convert the HAR file into a TrueWeb script, we have a command line tool, which is the offline script generator. You can just type the command, and you can note that the mode is har and the level is pages here. So we gather the resources requests of a specific page all together with the page request. Generating the script is very quick and easy. It just takes one moment. Okay. Now for scripting, one of the IDEs that we can use is Vuegen. So let's open Vuegen. If you want to create a new script manually, of course we can do that. As you can see, TrueWeb is available just as any other protocol here. But since we already created a script and the standalone, we will use the import TrueWeb script option. For the import, we will look for the main.js file that was created within the script folder. Once the script will be imported, you will be able to see the JavaScript ID, JavaScript SDK. It is very intuitive. You can just simply read through it and understand what's going on here. Of course, it has the run logic, which is the initialize action and the finalize at the end. The script also has its own RTS runtime settings. In this case, we will disable the proxy settings for this script, as we predefine those in the default RTS YAML. Now, after we've done that, let's see a bit of the scripting capabilities. So I will add a transaction to measure the login part. I want it to contain the last two requests. The transaction variable name would be T1 in this case. So we will start the transaction just before the first request it wraps, and then we can stop it right after the last request in the transaction has ended. Another capability is using correlations. So to demonstrate that, I have a request that returns a popular product JSON. Specifically for JSON, we can use the JSON path correlation, which is added to the relevant request. And in this case, we look for the price of the HP ElitePad 1000. We will see the results of both the transaction and the correlation values in a moment after we execute the script. So, script is running. We can see the output during the script execution in the output window. Once completed, we can find the transaction times. In this case, our login transaction took 673 milliseconds. We can also look for the correlated value. We can see that the price of the product is 550. Now that our script works as expected, we can run it in load mode using the controller. So we can create a controller scenario, for example, with 3 users. In the controller, you can use your TrueWeb scripts in any of the available schedulers, just like any other LoadRunner protocol. Of course, you can run them all together. For this demonstration, we'll just adjust the ramp up, the duration, and the tear down. Okay, I think we're ready to run. While it is running, we can see the common web measurements, we can see transactions, and of course we can see also error data. Since we added a transaction to the script, let's add the past transaction per second graph to the output as well. Of course, all these measurements that we see here are available to analyze in the analysis once the test is finished. But for today's demo, we will not focus on that. Just give it a few more seconds until it completes. Okay, so the execution is now completed, and I would like to show something that is a bit different. Previously, Cyrus mentioned that TrueWeb can be edited on multiple IDEs. So you can use any JavaScript IDE. And let me show you how we use Atom.io, which is one of the leader IDEs for JavaScript. So I already applied our dedicated Atom.io plugin to my environment. And for the demonstration purposes, we'll use the same script that we already edited in Vuegen. Just to mention that the Atom.io plugin that we created allows you to run either in single mode, which is one user for one iteration, or in load mode. So actually running the load mode from Atom.io, or in general in the standalone offering of TrueWeb, we use a basic scheduler that is defined using the scenario YAML file. In this case, we can run 3 users for 30 seconds. To end, we just go to the relevant menu option, selecting Run Scenario, and we can see at the output pane that it is running. Now, all the raw data that is gathered during the execution goes to a specific database file, which is a SQLite database format. And let's see how it looks. So for example, we have the transaction instances. You can see the login transaction for multiple users. You can see that all transactions pass in this case. And of course, we have the transaction time for each of them. In addition to that, we have also the HTTP hits with the response code and the time it happened, of course. And of course, many more measurements. So you are welcome to use our online help, guides, and videos to learn about this brand new protocol. I hope you are excited about it as I am. And thank you. And now back to you, Anat.
So thank you, Cyrus, Adrian, Amit, and Gil. Now we've had some great questions coming, so let's just jump right in. First question, what is the difference between Truclient TrueWeb and Web HTTP HTML? So Truclient is a web-based application on browser UI level, while both Web HTTP HTML and TrueWeb are transport level protocols. With Truclient, you gain less scripting time, no need to handle correlation, and more accurate representation of end-user activity with the cost of memory intensive compared to Web or TrueWeb. Now let's compare LoadRunner Web HTTP HTML and TrueWeb protocols, which are transport level and therefore much more scalable. TrueWeb providing a lightweight, scalable, and cross-platform solution and can also be used as standalone tool. For 1260, it's a free and unlimited. LoadRunner Web HTTP HTML is the most scalable protocol, and it comes with all the performance testing tools: snapshot, advanced parameters, advanced correlations, and more, unlike TrueWeb, which is still in text preview mode. And another question is True Web replacing Web HTTP HTML? So Web HTTP HTML is the market leader web protocol, and for many good reasons. We will keep it as the market leader for the heavy-duty tasks, and for the more common use cases, we aim True Web to be the default for the use cases that you just want to get the job done. Another question, can I spin up Dockerized container for Azure that are Linux if my PC server is Windows? Adrian?
The answer to this question is yes. You can spin off Dockerized LGs, even if your PC server is Windows.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. So before we finish, let me go over some of the programs. In these programs, you can work along with us during the different stages of the LoadRunner release lifecycle. We have the Design Partner program running in the early stages of development for review and feedback on the planned new features. Beta program, we run it before each release. It gives you the opportunity to be exposed to the coming release on its early stage, test it on your environment, and share your feedback. Early Adopters program, right after the public release, we implement a new version with numerous customers for feedback and future release requests. If you would like to participate as one of these customers, please send us an email to plv_cost@microfocus.com and we will get back to you. We'd also like to share with you our next webinar, the controller CLI command line interface, export to Grafana features and its integration into a Jenkins job webinar, and the Performance Center configuration with SSL webinar. Please stay tuned. We will soon keep you updated for the webinar's date. Please note that a replay of today's event, plus a PDF copy of the slides and the Q&A file will be available on demand, and we invite you to share them with your colleagues. Thank you very much for attending the webinar today. We hope you find it interesting and beneficial. Have a great day, and thank you for joining.